The massive alien ship appeared above Earth's skies without warning. Its dark hull stretched for miles, casting shadows over entire cities. People stopped in the streets, pointing at the impossible sight hanging in their atmosphere like a metal moon. Ambassador Zethkar stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking down at the blue and green planet below. His forearms moved with practiced grace as he adjusted his ceremonial robes. The Vorthic Empire had done this countless times before. Another primitive world, another easy conquest. "Send the message," he commanded his communications officer. Within hours, every television, radio, and internet connection on Earth carried the same transmission. The alien's face filled screens worldwide, pale blue skin, large black eyes, and a voice that somehow spoke every human language perfectly. "People of Earth," Zethkar began, his tone cold and matter-of-fact. "I am Ambassador Zethkar of the Galactic Council. Your world has been evaluated and found suitable for our needs." In the United Nations building in New York, world leaders gathered in emergency session. President Martinez of the Global Defense Coalition gripped her chair as the alien continued speaking. "The Galactic Council represents 12 advanced civilizations spanning thousands of star systems. We have watched your species for many cycles. You are still in your infancy. Your technology is crude. Your societies are chaotic, but your planet has resources we require." The alien paused, letting his words sink in. Across Earth, billions of people watched in stunned silence. "We offer you a choice," Zethkar continued. "Submit to our authority. Provide 70% of your mineral resources, agricultural output, and manufactured goods. Accept our governors to guide your primitive governments. In return, we will allow your species to continue existing under our protection." Secretary General Chen leaned forward at the UN table. "What's the alternative?" she whispered, though she already feared the answer. As if hearing her thoughts, the alien smiled, a cold expression that showed too many sharp teeth. "The alternative is complete annihilation. We have obliterated 47 worlds that refused our generous offer. Your weapons cannot harm our ships. Your armies cannot reach our fleets. Your nuclear devices are toys compared to our planet crackers." The transmission showed images of dead worlds, barren rocks floating in space where civilizations once thrived. Massive craters scarred their surfaces. No life remained. You have 30 of your days to respond. Use this time wisely. Consider the fate of those who chose poorly. The transmission ended, leaving Earth in chaos. In the following days, the alien fleet revealed itself. Hundreds of ships emerged from behind the moon, each one larger than Earth's biggest aircraft carriers. They formed a perfect ring around the planet, close enough to be seen with the naked eye but far enough to avoid any desperate military response. President Martinez called an emergency meeting of all world leaders. The conference room in Geneva had never hosted such a gathering. Every nation sent their highest officials. Even countries that had been enemies for decades sat at the same table. "We need options," Martinez said, her voice steady despite the circumstances. "Military, diplomatic, anything." General Thompson, head of the Global Military Command, spread holographic displays across the table. "Our best estimates suggest their smallest ships could destroy our entire combined fleet. Their energy shields deflect everything we've tested: bullets, missiles, even nuclear warheads." "What about negotiation?" asked Prime Minister Okafor from the African Federation. "Maybe we can reduce their demands. 50% instead of 70? Dr. Sarah Chen, director of the Advanced Research Division, shook her head. "I've been studying their transmissions. The mathematical precision, the energy signatures, these beings don't negotiate. They dictate terms to species they consider inferior. So we have no choice but to surrender?" President Volkov of the Eurasian Republic slammed his fist on the table. "Hand over our world to these creatures? There might be another way," Dr. Chen said quietly. She activated a secure holographic display that only the leaders could see. "For the past 15 years, we've been working on something called Project Prometheus. It started after the Roswell incident in 2009. The leaders leaned forward. Most had heard rumors about recovered alien technology, but few knew the details. "We've had their technology longer than they realize," Chen continued. "Small pieces at first, debris from scout ships, damaged probes. Our best scientists have been reverse engineering everything. We've made breakthroughs they can't imagine." "What kind of breakthroughs?" Martinez asked. "The kind that might surprise them," Chen replied with a slight smile. But we need those 30 days. Every minute of delay helps us prepare. Meanwhile, aboard his flagship, Ambassador Zethkar reviewed reports from his intelligence officers. The humans were behaving exactly as predicted. Their leaders argued among themselves. Their military forces remained grounded. Their news broadcasts showed panic and despair spreading across the planet. Any signs of resistance preparation? Zethkar asked his tactical officer. None, Ambassador. Their largest military installations remain inactive. No unusual energy signatures detected. Some increased communication traffic, but that's normal for primitive species facing extinction. Zethkar nodded, satisfied. They will surrender within 20 days. No species this young has ever lasted longer. His science officer approached with a data pad. Ambassador, we've detected some unusual metal compositions in their weapon systems. Should we investigate? Unnecessary. Zethkar waved a dismissive hand. Whatever crude alloys they've developed cannot threaten Council technology. Focus on resource extraction planning. Back on Earth, the public saw their leaders preparing for surrender. News reports showed diplomats drafting response documents. Military units were reportedly standing down. Economic experts calculated how much of Earth's resources would remain under alien rule. But in hidden facilities around the world, a different kind of preparation was taking place. Deep beneath the Nevada desert, engineers worked around the clock installing alien hybrid power cores into human spacecraft. In underground bunkers across Siberia, weapons technicians tested energy systems that combined human ingenuity with alien efficiency. On secret islands in the Pacific, pilots trained with flight simulators that prepared them for three-dimensional space combat. Dr. Chen stood in the main command center, watching dozens of screens showing progress reports from across the globe. How long until the fleet is ready? She asked her chief engineer. 18 days, Dr. Chen. Maybe 17 if we skip some safety protocols. Skip them, she replied without hesitation. Safety protocols won't matter if we don't survive the next month. President Martinez visited the facility on day 20 of the countdown. She walked through corridors filled with technology that seemed to blend human and alien design in impossible ways. Can we really do this, Sarah? She asked. Can we actually fight them? Dr. Chen looked at the screen showing Earth's hidden fleet nearing completion. Ships that looked crude and primitive on the outside but housed the most advanced technology ever created by human hands. Mr. President, these aliens have conquered dozens of worlds, but they've never faced a species that learns from every challenge, that turns every setback into an opportunity. They think they know us, but they've made one critical mistake, which is, they underestimated what humans do when someone threatens our home. As the deadline approached, the Galactic Council's fleet maintained its position around Earth. Ambassador Zethkar prepared for what he expected would be humanity's inevitable surrender. He had no idea that below him, an entire planet was preparing to show the galaxy what happened when you pushed humans too far. The countdown continued. 10 days, 9 days, 8 days remaining. Earth was ready to give its answer. The world watched as President Martinez walked slowly to the podium in the United Nations General Assembly. Cameras from every nation focused on her face as she prepared to address both humanity and the alien fleet waiting above. People of Earth, she began, her voice carrying the weight of humanity's future. After careful consideration of the Galactic Council's terms, we have reached a decision. Ambassador Zethkar leaned forward in his command chair, certain he was about to hear the words of surrender he had heard from countless worlds before. We need more time, Martinez continued. The complexity of transferring 70% of our planet's resources requires extensive planning. We request an additional 45 days to organize the logistics of compliance. The alien ambassador's mouth curved into what might have been a smile. More delays, more human weakness. It was almost disappointing how predictable these creatures were. Granted, Zethkar's voice boomed across Earth's communication networks. 45 additional days. Use them wisely, humans. Do not test our patience further. What the ambassador could not see were the faces of humanity's leaders as the transmission ended. No despair, no defeat. Instead, Dr. Sarah Chen allowed herself a small smile as she turned away from the cameras. The deception had worked perfectly. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, in a facility that officially did not exist, Chen walked through corridors that hummed with alien technology. But this was not captured technology. This was something far more sophisticated. "Report," she said as she entered the main research lab. Dr. Yamamoto, her lead physicist, looked up from a device that seemed to bend light around itself. "The gravity manipulators are online. The energy shields are holding at 300% of standard alien output. Most importantly, the quantum communication array is working." Chen nodded. The quantum communicator was perhaps their greatest achievement. While the aliens monitored Earth's radio transmissions, satellite communications, and internet traffic, they had no idea that humanity had developed a method of instantaneous communication that operated outside normal spacetime. "Show me the fleet status," Chen requested. A holographic display materialized in the center of the room. It showed the real Earth, not the version the aliens were seeing, but the truth. Hidden beneath every major city were massive underground shipyards, spacecraft that looked like modified human designs on the surface but contained technology that would have impressed even the Galactic Council's finest engineers. 147 combat vessels ready, Yamamoto reported. Each one equipped with hybrid propulsion systems, adaptive armor, and weapons that can reconfigure themselves based on target analysis. "And our special projects?" Yamamoto's expression grew serious. "The Prometheus ships are ahead of schedule. We'll have 12 of them ready within 30 days. Each one carries enough firepower to engage a Galactic Council dreadnought." Chen studied the display, her mind calculating probabilities and risks. Project Prometheus had begun 15 years ago, when the first alien probe crashed in the Australian outback. Unlike the Roswell incident, which had been mostly debris, this crash had provided intact technology. The probe's memory banks had contained star charts, technical specifications, and most importantly, communication logs from the Galactic Council. Humanity had been studying their potential enemies for over a decade. "What about the pilots?" Chen asked. "Captain Rodriguez's squadron finished their final training yesterday," Yamamoto replied. "They've logged over 10,000 hours in simulators programmed with actual alien combat data. They know Galactic Council tactics better than most Council pilots." In another part of the facility, Captain Marcus Rodriguez reviewed mission plans with his wing commanders. The pilots around the table represented the best humanity had to offer: former astronauts, test pilots, and combat veterans who had spent years preparing for a war nobody believed would come. "Remember," Rodriguez said, pointing to the tactical display, "the Vorthax ships have superior firepower, but their pilots are overconfident. They've never faced opponents who could match their technology. They expect their enemies to run or hide." "What's our advantage?" asked Squadron Leader Park, a former fighter ace who had transitioned to space combat training. "We're unpredictable," Rodriguez replied. "Every species the Council has conquered followed logical military doctrine. They fought defensive wars, trying to protect their homeworlds. We're going to do something they've never encountered before." "Which is?" Rodriguez smiled grimly. "We're going to attack." Above ground, the world continued its charade of preparation for surrender. News reports showed governments organizing resource databases. Economic experts calculated the impact of losing 70% of Earth's output. Military leaders appeared on television discussing the peaceful transition of authority. The aliens watched it all, their surveillance systems recording every broadcast, monitoring every communication. Their computers analyzed human behavior patterns and confirmed their predictions. The species was preparing for subjugation, but they could not see the real activity taking place in shielded facilities around the world. In the Sahara Desert, a massive underground complex had been hollowed out of solid rock. Here, Admiral Elena Vasquez coordinated the largest military operation in human history. The command center's walls displayed tactical information from every continent. "Status report from Europe?" she requested. 12 facilities operational. The Dover installation finished their last Interceptor-class vessel this morning. The crews are running final systems checks. Asia, 18 facilities reporting ready status. The Beijing complex completed integration of their captured Council navigation systems. We now have real-time positioning data for every alien ship in their fleet. Vasquez nodded. The navigation systems had been another breakthrough. When the aliens had positioned their fleet around Earth, they had automatically synchronized with local gravitational beacons to maintain formation. Human technicians had hacked those beacons within hours. The Galactic Council's fleet was now broadcasting its exact position, course, and speed directly to human computers. They had no idea they were providing targeting data to their intended victims. "What about our disinformation campaign?" Vasquez asked her intelligence chief. "Working perfectly, Admiral. The aliens are intercepting exactly what we want them to intercept. Their analysis computers show human resistance capability at less than 5% of our actual strength." The disinformation operation had been perhaps the most complex part of their preparation. Every communication the aliens intercepted was carefully crafted. Human scientists had studied Galactic Council analysis patterns and fed them data that confirmed their expectations while hiding humanity's true capabilities. Aliens saw a broken species preparing for defeat. In reality, they were facing the most prepared defensive force in human history. Dr. Chen received her final briefing as the countdown entered its last 2 weeks. The numbers were staggering. Over 200 human spacecraft ready for combat, each one equipped with technology that exceeded Council standards. Weapons that could adapt to enemy defenses in real time, armor that could redistribute damage across its entire surface, propulsion systems that could outmaneuver anything in the alien fleet. Most importantly, they had solved the aliens' greatest advantage, their communications network. "Show me the virus status," Chen requested. Her cyber warfare specialist activated a display that showed the alien fleet's internal network. Red indicators spread through the schematic like an infection. "We've been in their systems for 8 days, the specialist reported. "The virus remains dormant, but when activated, it will disable their fleet coordination protocols. Each ship will be isolated, unable to communicate with the others." Chen studied the display. The virus had been designed using the aliens' own technology against them. Their quantum communication network, which allowed instantaneous coordination across vast distances, would become their greatest weakness. How long will the blackout last? Minimum 6 hours. Possibly longer if they don't recognize what's happening immediately. 6 hours would be more than enough. As the final days approached, Ambassador Zethkar grew confident in his victory. The humans showed no signs of resistance. Their military remained grounded. Their leaders continued preparing for what appeared to be an orderly transition of power. He had conquered 47 worlds using this exact same approach. The humans would be number 48. But deep beneath the Earth's surface in facilities the aliens could not detect, humanity prepared to prove that they were not like any of the previous 47 species. They were something the Galactic Council had never encountered before. A species that became more dangerous when threatened, that turned every challenge into an opportunity to grow stronger. The countdown continued. 5 days, 4 days, 3 days remaining. Soon the galaxy would learn what happened when someone threatened humanity's home. The deadline arrived with Earth's sunrise over the Pacific Ocean. Ambassador Zethkar stood on his flagship's observation deck, watching the planet rotate slowly beneath his fleet. 47 worlds had surrendered at this moment. Number 48 would be no different. His communications officer approached with the expected human transmission. "Ambassador, we're receiving their formal response." "Display it," Zethkar commanded, settling into his throne-like command chair. The transmission began with President Martinez appearing on screen, but something was different. Gone was the worried expression of the past weeks. Instead, she looked directly into the camera with cold determination. "Ambassador Zethkar and the Galactic Council," she began. "We have prepared our response to your ultimatum." Zethkar leaned forward, expecting to hear words of surrender, terms of compliance, perhaps some final desperate plea for mercy. "Our answer is no." The alien ambassador blinked, his forearms tensing. "Excuse me?" Martinez continued as if she had not heard him. "We reject your demands. We reject your authority. And we reject your threats. Earth will remain free, independent, and under human control." "Impossible," Zethkar whispered. "No species had ever." "Furthermore," Martinez continued, "we demand that you withdraw your fleet from our solar system immediately. You have 1 hour to begin departure procedures." Zethkar's tactical officer looked at him in confusion. "Ambassador, their largest military vessel is barely 300 meters long. Their most powerful weapons are primitive nuclear devices. They cannot possibly—" He was interrupted by alarms throughout the ship. "Sir," the sensor operator called out, his voice cracking with panic. "I'm detecting massive energy signatures throughout the system. multiple contacts emerging from everywhere. The main display showed space around Earth, but now it looked completely different. Ships were appearing from behind asteroids, emerging from what had seemed like empty space, rising from the surfaces of moons. Not dozens of ships, hundreds. How is this possible? Zethkar demanded. Our sensors showed no fleet construction, no industrial capacity for. His answer came in the form of the largest human vessel he had ever seen. It emerged from behind Earth's moon, easily twice the size of his own flagship. Its hull gleamed with an unusual metallic surface that seemed to absorb and reflect light in impossible ways. Captain Marcus Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the UHSS Prometheus, humanity's first true warship. Around him, his crew operated controls that would have been familiar to any Galactic Council engineer, but with improvements that pushed the technology far beyond its original design. All stations report ready. His tactical officer announced. Communications. Open a channel to the alien flagship, Rodriguez ordered. Ambassador Zethkar's screen filled with the image of a human wearing what appeared to be a military uniform, but one unlike anything in his databases. I am Captain Rodriguez of the United Human Space Fleet, the human said calmly. You are trespassing in our solar system. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences. Zethkar found his voice. Human, you cannot threaten the Galactic Council. Our technology is thousands of years ahead of yours. Our weapons can crack planets. Our shields are impenetrable. Rodriguez smiled, and something in that expression made the alien ambassador suddenly uncomfortable. Your shields are impenetrable to the weapons you know about, Rodriguez replied. Unfortunately for you, we've had 15 years to improve on your designs. The human captain made a gesture, and Zethkar's ship shuddered. That was a warning shot from our smallest escort vessel, Rodriguez explained. Our main guns are significantly more impressive. Would you like a demonstration? On the Galactic Council flagship, chaos erupted across the bridge. The warning shot had penetrated their primary shields as if they did not exist, causing minor damage to their outer hull. This was impossible. No species they had encountered possessed weapons capable of such penetration. Analysis, Zethkar shouted. His science officer worked frantically at his console. The energy signature is completely unknown, Ambassador. It appears to be a hybrid of plasma and particle acceleration, but the quantum matrix is unlike anything in our databases. What the alien scientist could not know was that human engineers had taken standard Galactic Council weapons and redesigned them from the ground up. Every component had been analyzed, improved, and integrated with human innovations. The result was technology that surpassed its alien origins. Captain Rodriguez watched his tactical display as human ships moved into attack formations around the alien fleet. Each vessel looked crude and primitive compared to the sleek alien designs, but appearances were deceiving. Sir, his weapons officer reported, all ships report weapons charged and targeting solutions acquired. Very good. Begin Operation Prometheus. Across human space, similar scenes played out on dozens of ships. Squadron Leader Park piloted her Interceptor-class fighter through a complex attack pattern. Her instruments locked onto a Vorthak destroyer that had not even detected her approach. The aliens' overconfidence had become their greatest weakness. Their sensors were calibrated to detect threats from other council races, not from humans who had studied those same sensor systems and learned to defeat them. Park's first missile struck the alien ship's shield generator with pinpoint precision. The device, designed to deflect known energy weapons, had no defense against human kinetic penetrators that had been enhanced with alien guidance systems. The destroyer's shields collapsed, leaving it vulnerable to conventional attack. Fox 2, Park announced, launching her second missile. This one carried a warhead that combined human explosive technology with alien antimatter containment. The resulting explosion tore through the destroyer's hull like paper. One alien ship destroyed. Hundreds remained. But across the human fleet, similar attacks were happening simultaneously. Admiral Vasquez coordinated the assault from her command ship hidden on the far side of Earth's moon. Status report, she requested. First wave successful, her tactical officer replied. 17 alien vessels disabled or destroyed. No human casualties. The enemy fleet is attempting to regroup. Vasquez studied the tactical display. The alien ships were moving into their traditional defensive formation, exactly as human analysts had predicted. The Galactic Council had used the same tactics for centuries. never needing to adapt because no enemy had ever challenged them effectively. "Initiate Phase 2, she ordered. What happened next shocked the alien fleet even more than the initial attack. Instead of pressing their advantage, the human ships seemed to retreat, pulling back toward Earth's atmosphere. Ambassador Zethkar felt a moment of relief. "They're running! All ships pursue and destroy." But his tactical officer looked confused. "Ambassador, our formation tracking systems are malfunctioning. I'm showing conflicting movement orders across the fleet." The ambassador turned to his communications station. "Raise fleet command. Coordinate our response." "Sir," the communications officer replied with growing panic. "I cannot establish contact with any other vessel. Our quantum communication array appears to be offline." What Zethkar did not know was that the virus humanity had planted in their systems had finally activated. Every ship in the Galactic Council fleet was now isolated, unable to coordinate with the others. This had been humanity's true masterstroke. The aliens' greatest advantage, their ability to operate as a unified fleet, had been turned against them. Captain Rodriguez watched from the Prometheus as the alien ships spread out in confusion, each commander trying to guess what the others were doing. "Now," he said quietly. The retreating human ships suddenly reversed course. But they were no longer the same primitive vessels the aliens had initially detected. Stealth systems deactivated, revealing their true size and armament. Weapons that had been hidden in folded space unfolded like deadly flowers. The UHSS Prometheus itself underwent a transformation that left the alien fleet speechless. Its hull split open in dozens of places, revealing massive gun batteries that had been concealed within the ship's structure. Secondary vessels that had been docked inside the main hull launched like fighter craft, but each one was the size of an alien cruiser. "My God," Zethkar whispered as he realized the scope of human deception. "They've been hiding their true capabilities this entire time." Rodriguez's voice came across the communication channel one final time. "Ambassador, you came to our system expecting to find a primitive species that would bow to your superior technology. Instead, you found humans. We suggest you remember the difference. The battle for Earth's freedom was about to begin in earnest, and the Galactic Council was about to learn why no species in the galaxy had a reputation quite like humanity's. They adapted. They survived. And when threatened, they became something their enemies had never encountered before. They became dangerous. The battle erupted across Earth's solar system with a violence that had never been seen before. Admiral Elena Vasquez coordinated the human assault from her command center, watching as decades of preparation finally paid off. "Status on the Vorthak heavy cruisers?" she requested. "Taking heavy damage," her tactical officer replied. "Captain Rodriguez is leading the Prometheus squadron directly into their formation. The aliens are trying to maintain their traditional battle line, but our ships are too fast." On the Prometheus, Captain Rodriguez pushed his ship through a series of maneuvers that should have been impossible for a vessel of its size. The alien-human hybrid engines allowed acceleration patterns that defied the physics the Galactic Council understood. "Weapons, target the lead Vorthak cruiser," Rodriguez ordered. "Full spread. Maximum penetration." His weapons officer, Lieutenant Commander Singh, smiled as she armed their most devastating weapon system. "Sir, the penetrator cannons are charged and ready." The penetrator system was perhaps humanity's greatest innovation. Standard alien weapons were designed to overwhelm enemy shields through brute force. Human weapons were designed to think, to adapt, to find weaknesses and exploit them. The missiles that erupted from the Prometheus looked ordinary enough, but each one carried a sophisticated computer system that analyzed its target in real time. As they approached the Vorthak cruiser, the missile's AI system studied the alien ship's shield frequency, power distribution, and structural weak points. Then they adapted. The first missile reconfigured itself to match the exact resonance frequency of the Vorthak shields. Instead of being deflected, it passed through the barrier as if it did not exist. The second missile followed a fraction of a second later, but it had analyzed the ship's armor, composition, and transformed its warhead into a focused plasma cutter. The Vorthak cruiser's captain watched, in horror, as weapons that should have been stopped by their superior defenses tore through his ship like it was made of paper. "Impossible," he transmitted to his fleet. Their weapons are adapting faster than our systems can compensate. But his transmission went nowhere. The communication virus was still active, leaving each alien ship fighting alone. Ambassador Zethkar paced his bridge as reports of destruction poured in from his isolated vessel's sensors. 17 ships lost in the first exchange, 23 more damaged, and the humans were just getting started. How are they doing this? He demanded from his science officer. Sir, I believe they have been studying our technology for much longer than we realized. Their weapon systems appear to be hybrids of our designs combined with innovations we cannot identify. What the alien scientist could not understand was the human approach to warfare. The Galactic Council had developed their military technology through conquest, taking the best systems from defeated enemies and incorporating them into their fleets. But they had become complacent, using the same tactics and weapons for centuries. Humans had approached the problem differently. They had not just copied alien technology, they had improved it. Every system had been analyzed for weaknesses, redesigned for efficiency, and tested against simulated alien defenses. The result was a fleet that looked primitive but fought with capabilities that exceeded anything in the galaxy. Squadron. Leader Park led her fighter wing against a group of Xerthi crystalline ships. The crystal-based aliens were known for their perfect communication and coordination. But the virus had cut them off from their hive mind network. Remember, Park transmitted to her pilots, the Xerthi panic when isolated. Use that against them. Her fighters deployed sonic weapons that had been specifically designed to disrupt crystalline structures. The sound waves propagated through the alien ships' hulls, creating resonance patterns that shattered their internal communication networks. The Xerthi ships began firing wildly, no longer able to coordinate their attacks. Their perfect crystal formations broke apart as individual ships fled in different directions. Easy targets, Park announced as her squadron picked off the scattered aliens one by one. But the humans were not just winning through superior technology. They were winning through superior psychology. Admiral Vasquez had spent years studying the personality profiles of each Galactic Council species. The Vorthak were proud and aggressive, prone to overextending their forces when challenged. The Xerthi were dependent on group coordination and became panicked when isolated. The Kethvar were logical and methodical, but had no experience dealing with truly unpredictable opponents. Initiate psychological warfare protocols, Vasquez ordered. Across the human fleet, specialized systems began broadcasting custom-designed signals to each alien species. The Vorthak received transmissions that played on their cultural fears of dishonor and defeat. The Xerthi heard sonic patterns that mimicked their distress calls. The Kethvar were flooded with logical paradoxes that overloaded their analytical minds. Captain Rodriguez watched as the alien fleet's formation completely collapsed. Ships that should have been supporting each other were instead fleeing in panic or attacking randomly. Sir, his communications officer reported, we're receiving surrender requests from multiple alien vessels. Denied, Rodriguez replied coldly. They offered us no quarter. They threatened to destroy our entire species. We returned the favor. The human captain was not being cruel, he was being strategic. Word of this battle would spread throughout the galaxy. Other species needed to understand that humans were not a species to be threatened lightly. The Galactic Council's greatest mistake had been assuming that humans would fight like every other species they had conquered. Defensive, protective, trying to minimize casualties while preserving their homeworld. Instead, humans had launched an offensive that turned every alien advantage into a weakness. Ambassador Zethkar found himself commanding a fleet that was being systematically destroyed by opponents he had dismissed as primitive savages just hours before. His flagship shuddered under another human attack and he realized that his shields were failing. Retreat, he ordered. All ships retreat to the edge of the system. But his communication systems were still offline. He could issue orders only to his own ship. The human fleet seemed to anticipate his decision. As his flagship turned to flee, it found itself surrounded by sleek human interceptors that had somehow moved into position without being detected. Captain Rodriguez's voice came across the communication channel. Going somewhere, Ambassador? Zethkar's ship shuddered as tractor beams locked onto his hull. The alien ambassador realized with growing horror that the humans were not trying to destroy his ship. They were capturing it. You cannot do this, Zethkar protested. I am a diplomatic representative of the Galactic Council. There are protocols. There were protocols, Rodriguez replied. You violated them when you threatened genocide against our species. Consider yourself a prisoner of war. Across the solar system, the pattern repeated. Human ships that had seemed outnumbered and outgunned were methodically dismantling. The most powerful fleet the galaxy had ever seen, the few alien ships that managed to escape, did so only because the humans allowed it. Admiral Vasquez wanted survivors to carry word of humanity's capabilities back to the Galactic Council. As the battle wound down, Vasquez reviewed the tactical reports. 87 alien vessels destroyed or captured. Fewer than 20 had escaped. Human casualties were minimal. A few damaged ships, no losses. Admiral, her intelligence officer reported, we're receiving communication attempts from the fleeing alien ships. They're trying to contact the Galactic Council to report what happened here. Let them, Vasquez replied. In fact, help them. I want every species in the galaxy to receive a clear message about what happens when someone threatens Earth. She turned to her communication station. Open a channel to the captured alien flagship. Ambassador Zethkar's face appeared on screen, his proud demeanor replaced by something humans rarely saw in their enemies. Fear. Ambassador, Vasquez said calmly, you came to our system expecting to find a primitive species ready for conquest. Instead, you found something your databases never warned you about. You found humans at war. Zethkar stared at the human admiral, finally understanding the magnitude of his miscalculation. What do you want from us? He asked. Vasquez smiled, and the expression was not reassuring. We want you to deliver a message to your Galactic Council. Tell them that Earth is under human protection. Tell them that we do not submit, we do not surrender, and we do not forget threats against our species. She leaned forward, her voice becoming harder, and tell them that if they ever return to our system with hostile intent, we will not stop at defending ourselves. We will hunt down every world that supported this invasion and show them what human retaliation looks like. The transmission ended, leaving Ambassador Zethkar alone with the knowledge that the Galactic Council had awakened something far more dangerous than they had ever imagined. The humans had not just won a battle. They had announced their arrival as a major power in the galaxy, and they had done it in a way that would be remembered for centuries to come. The Great Chamber of the Galactic Council had never experienced such chaos. Representatives from 12 different species shouted in languages that their universal translators struggled to process. Fear, anger, and disbelief filled the air as reports from the Sol system continued to arrive. Council Prime Veltar of the ancient ethereal race called for order, his telepathic voice cutting through the noise. Silence. We will address this crisis systematically. The chamber fell quiet, but the tension remained thick enough to taste. Present the casualty reports, Veltar commanded. Military Coordinator Thexan of the warrior Kragoth species stepped forward, his massive frame trembling with barely controlled rage. 87 vessels lost, 15 more so heavily damaged they may never fight again. Nearly 30,000 personnel dead or captured. A collective gasp rose from the assembled representatives. The numbers were staggering. The Galactic Council had not suffered such losses in over 1,000 years. How is this possible? Demanded Counselor Rixhigh of the Industrial Mechanic Collective. Our intelligence reports indicated the humans possessed no significant military capability. Their largest vessels were rated at Class 3 threat level at most. Thexan activated a holographic display that showed the battle's final moments. The assembled counselors watched in stunned silence as human ships that had appeared primitive and crude revealed devastating hidden capabilities. Our analysts believe the humans have been preparing for this confrontation for over a decade, Thexan reported. They systematically studied our technology, tactics, and psychological profiles. Then they designed countermeasures specifically for each council species. Science Director Quantum High of the crystal-based Zerthi spoke next, her harmonic voice carrying undertones of panic. The sonic weapons they deployed against our fleet were precisely calibrated to our crystalline frequency. They knew exactly how to disrupt our hive-mind communications. This suggests extensive prior study of our physiology. Council Prime Veltar's ancient features showed concern for the first time in centuries. Show us the human demands. the main display filled with Admiral Vasquez's transmission, recorded by the few surviving alien ships. Her calm, professional demeanor somehow made her words more threatening than any angry declaration of war. "People of the Galactic Council," the human admiral began, "you came to our system believing you could intimidate us into submission. You have learned otherwise. This is our response to your ultimatum." The recording showed the captured alien vessels, including Ambassador Zethkar's flagship, being escorted by human warships toward Earth. "We demand immediate withdrawal of all Council forces from the Sol system and surrounding regions," Vasquez continued. "We demand formal recognition of Earth as a sovereign power with full territorial rights to our solar system. We demand reparations for the threatened destruction of our homeworld." Councillor Rixhai's mechanical voice screeched in protest. "Impossible. No single world has ever made demands of the Council. We are the supreme authority in this galaxy." But Vasquez was not finished. "Furthermore, we demand the immediate release of all worlds currently under Council occupation whose people wish to govern themselves. You have 48 standard hours to begin implementation of these terms." The recording paused, and Admiral Vasquez leaned forward, her expression becoming deadly serious. "If these demands are not met, we will consider the Galactic Council to be in a state of war with humanity. And unlike the species you have conquered before, we do not fight defensive wars. We hunt down our enemies wherever they hide and teach them why threatening Earth was the last mistake they will ever make." The transmission ended, leaving the Council chamber in absolute silence. "This is madness," whispered Councillor Eshvar of the Nomadic Wanderer Fleet. "A single world cannot challenge the combined might of 12 civilizations spanning thousands of systems." Council Prime Veltar studied the tactical reports with growing unease. Perhaps not a single world? But what if it is not a single world? What if it is something we have never encountered before? He activated his personal data files, scrolling through centuries of conquest records. "Review our historical files. Every species we have subjugated followed predictable patterns. They fought to defend their homeworlds. They sued for peace when casualties became too high. They accepted occupation rather than face extinction." The ancient ethereal paused, his telepathic abilities reading the emotional states of every being in the chamber. "The humans did none of these things. They attacked our fleet directly. They showed no interest in negotiation or mercy. They treated our ultimatum as a declaration of war and responded accordingly." Military Coordinator Thexan stepped forward. "Council Prime, I recommend immediate mobilization of our reserve fleets. If we strike quickly before they can consolidate their defenses..." "No." The voice belonged to Ambassador Zethkar, transmitted from his captivity aboard a human vessel. The defeated Vorthak appeared on screen, his proud bearing replaced by something the Council had never seen in one of their ambassadors: humility, born of complete defeat. "You do not understand what we faced," Zethkar continued. "This was not a primitive species making a desperate last stand. This was a carefully planned and executed military operation by beings who had studied us for years. They knew our tactics, our technology, our weaknesses. They were ready for us." Council Prime Veltar leaned forward. "Explain." "Their ships appear crude because they want them to appear crude," the ambassador replied. "Their real capabilities are hidden beneath false hulls and disguised systems. When the battle began, their vessels transformed before our eyes, revealing weapons and defenses that exceeded our own." Zethkar's image flickered as the human communication system maintained the connection across interstellar distances. "But the technology is not their greatest weapon," he continued. "Their greatest weapon is their mindset. Every other species fights to survive. Humans fight to win. They do not accept defeat, they do not surrender, and they do not forgive threats against their people." In her command center aboard the captured alien flagship, Admiral Vasquez watched the Council's emergency session through tapped communication channels. Dr. Sarah Chen stood beside her, monitoring alien computer networks that human viruses had infiltrated weeks ago. "They're scared," Chen observed. "Look at their body language, their vocal stress patterns. They've never faced anything like us before." Vasquez nodded. "Good. Fear makes people careful. Careful people avoid mistakes like threatening genocide against species they don't understand." Captain Rodriguez's voice came over the intercom. "Admiral, the captured alien ships are ready for escort to Council space. Shall we proceed with Phase 3? Begin the escort mission, Vasquez confirmed, but maintain full combat readiness. If they try to intercept the convoy, demonstrate why that would be inadvisable. The convoy that left Earth's solar system was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Human warships escorted the captured alien vessels, but these were not the ships that had fought the battle. These were even larger, more advanced vessels that had remained hidden until now. The message was clear. The fleet that had devastated the Council's forces was not humanity's only capability. As the convoy traveled toward Council space, its presence was detected by monitoring stations throughout the galaxy. Species that had never heard of humans suddenly found themselves studying tactical reports of the most one-sided military victory in recorded history. More importantly, they began asking themselves a question that would change the balance of power forever. If humans could defeat the Galactic Council's fleet so easily, what did that mean for the Council's authority over the rest of the galaxy? On dozens of occupied worlds, resistance movements that had been dormant for centuries began to stir. If the mighty Galactic Council could be challenged, perhaps their rule was not as permanent as everyone had believed. Back in the Council chamber, the reality of their situation was becoming clear. "We have two choices," Council Prime Veltar announced to the assembled representatives. "We can accept the human demands and negotiate a new arrangement, or we can escalate this conflict and risk losing our authority over the entire galaxy." Councillor Rixai's mechanical voice carried overtones of disbelief. "You suggest we surrender to a single world?" "I suggest we avoid a war we cannot win," Veltar replied. "The humans have demonstrated capabilities that exceed our own. Worse, they have demonstrated a willingness to use those capabilities offensively. If we continue this conflict, they will not stop at defending their homeworld. They will bring the war to us." The chamber fell silent as the councillors realized the magnitude of their miscalculation. They had expected to add another conquered world to their empire. Instead, they had awakened something that would force them to reconsider everything they thought they knew. About power in the galaxy, Admiral Vasquez's final transmission arrived. As the convoy reached the edge of Council space, people of the Galactic Council, her image appeared on every screen in the chamber. "You now have 46 hours and 37 minutes to begin implementation of our demands. Use this time wisely. The next message you receive from us will either be a diplomatic communication confirming your compliance or a tactical assessment of your military installations prior to their destruction."